Thank you so much for those opening remarks, Madame Deputy CEO. Thank you to Rwanda for your incredibly generous hospitality. May I say, just in the interest of time, I know we started a little late, just standing on existing protocols, all protocols observed, and just give a very, very warm welcome to everyone here today. I know especially a lot of you came from many time zones away. Some of you landed in the wee hours of last night. We very much appreciate you taking the time to be here over the next couple days. As mentioned, my name's Kurtis Lockhart. I'm Executive Director of the Charter Cities Institute, and along with Rwanda Development Board, a very, very proud co-host of this first ever inaugural Africa's New Cities Summit. The Charter Cities Institute, we are a think tank and an advisory organization that help out new city projects. We're headquartered out of Washington, D.C. We also have CCI Zambia based out of Lusaka that carries out a lot of our work across the continent. CCI's vision is to help empower new cities with empowered governance to lift tens of millions of people out of poverty and into prosperity by harnessing urbanization and the power of cities for transformation. And we're working with several new city projects across the continent to do just this. And I'm really heartened and proud that a lot of those new city partners are here in the room today, and we'll be hearing from them over the course of the next 2 days. So a warm welcome to all the new city builders in the room today. In addition to the warm welcomes, I want to also say some thank yous as well. A summit like this, it does not happen without a dedicated team working tirelessly for months and months, and it does not happen without sponsors and partners to support that work. So first and foremost, to our amazing sponsors, and bear with me here, Afro-Exim Bank, Rwanda Air, Savannah Jurong, World Resources Institute, Maroon Associates, Small Farm Cities, Rendeavor, Aitana, Waterfall City, and Kalambila. Thank you guys so much. To our summit partners, AFIDA, UN Habitat, Smart Cities Council, ICAZI, and Rwanda Convention Bureau, thank you. And of course, to our co-host, the Rwanda Development Board, thank you so much for taking this journey with us. You guys have been amazing, amazing partners. And lastly, to my team at CCI, what can I say? This does not happen without you guys, period. I want to give a special shout out to Michael Holstein, who's our head of communications. He sadly couldn't make it at the last second, but I know bleary-eyed he will be listening to this on YouTube back in DC, and so I want him to hear thank you so much, Michael, and thank you to the entire team. This started out as a crazy idea a year ago, and to see what we've accomplished here today, you guys and your hard work made this into a reality, so thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanted to open this summit, good, the slides are up. I wanted to open this summit about talking about urbanization trends and challenges across the continent, and then I'll hand it over to CCI's founder and chairman, Dr. Mark Lutter, to talk about the why new cities specifically can help address these urban challenges that I'll dive into now. To begin, the major megatrend that both drives our work at CCI and motivates this summit is the unprecedented and incredibly rapid urbanization taking place across the global south over the next several decades. And I like to break this down into three key facts. So one is scale, one is speed, and the last is spend. So first on scale, as this daunting red wave of new urbanites suggests, the world is set to add 2.5 billion people to our cities over the next 27 years to 2050. A full 96% of that increase will take place in the global south, so this is largely a lower and lower middle income phenomenon. And about 1 billion of these new urbanites will be added to African cities and towns. That's nearly tripling Africa's urban population over that time period. Just to put this 1 billion number in perspective, so that's the equivalent of adding 3 completely new cities of 1 million people each every single month for the next 27 years to 2050. This is an astronomical scale we're dealing with. And to illustrate this, so these are the world's largest cities as of 2025. And we see here that Asia at the moment, Asian cities dominate this landscape. They're highlighted on the right of the map. But we fast forward a mere 75 years, to 2100, and we see a very clear and stark shift. African cities will absolutely dominate the urban landscape by the end of this century. And just to drive this point home, in 2010, on the left, just 10 of the world's largest 100 cities were in Africa. But by 2100, on the right, just under 40 of the top largest 100 cities on the planet will be here in Africa. And this actually aligns closely with demographic trends, because by the end of this century, 4 out of every 10 human beings on the planet will be living here on this continent. And so the world's future, humanity's future, is here in Africa, and that is an urban future, and it's happening on an unprecedented scale. This is both an incredible opportunity. Cities historically have been centers of magical transformation, but it's also, and Mark will speak to that, but it's also an immense challenge. So the second 2 key facts here around speed and spend, they get at precisely how challenging grappling with this urbanization problem is going to be. So first on speed, what do I mean by speed? It took humanity about 100 centuries, so 10,000 years, to get from 0 urbanites, so this is a world of no towns or cities 10,000 years ago, 0 urbanites, to 3.5 billion urbanites, and that happened around 2010. Today, in a single century, the 21st century, we're projected to add 5 billion more people to our cities. So that's adding 50% more people in 100th of the time, 100th. And so that's what I mean by speed. And so we have at best 1 generation to get this right. And what that means is the work starts now and the work starts today. And lastly, spend. So urbanization in Africa this century, it's unfolding at much lower levels of income than it has in the past. So for example, on the left, you see the US hit 50% urbanized in around 1920 at $7,500 per person. Fast forward to the late 1970s, South Korea hits 50% urbanized at around $4,500 per person. Fast forward to today, and Africa, much of Africa, is careening towards 50% urbanized. It's just over 40% at incomes of $1,000 per person. And so what this tells us is that while these other regions in the past had a larger tax base to finance the needed urban infrastructure and city services like power, sanitation, roads, water, that tax base simply isn't there for many African towns and cities that are rapidly growing this century. And so what this means then is that there will be much greater need to forge partnerships with the private sector, and this is one of the things we'll be talking a lot about over the course of the next 2 days. So just in closing, Africa's urban revolution, it is happening right now, it is happening this century. The sheer scale of this urban revolution tells us how important it is to get this right. The speed of it tells us that we must act now. And spend tells us that it cannot happen like it did in the past. We are going to need novel, innovative solutions to this challenge of rapid urbanization. I think together we can rise to this challenge, and I think especially the people in this room. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what this summit is all about. So thank you all very much for coming to this inaugural Africa's New Cities Summit, and we wish you all the best of time here in Kigali this week. Thank you very much.